The weather headlines stay mostly dry through Monday. Rain chances increasing middle next week after Labor Day. And then a overall below normal temperature trend continues. We got the play ball forecast. My son is going to be at Lanesville playing tennis later today. So I'll be shooting over there with perfect weather. 75 at noon, 81 this afternoon. Still a good more than 5 degrees below normal, 72 at 8 p.m. So just about perfect. You can crack open the windows in the evening time. Northwest wind at around 5 to 10. Here's the stupid autumn dad jokes. They were summer jokes, but since it's feeling like autumn, we're going to do the autumn dad jokes. And I don't back these jokes, by the way. Like everybody has a different sense of humor. Some of these I do not laugh at, but sometimes they're better when they're worse. Sometimes I like how bad the jokes are. The cringier, the better sometimes. But why did the man bungee jump on the first day of autumn? Because he loved the fall. What did the jack-o'-lantern do when investigated? Spilled its guts. What did autumn say to summer? I'll always follow you. And I misspelled always there, so that's that's something I might do. Last one. Typically we do 3, but since they're so bad, we'll give you 4. What do you call the smallest apple on earth? An apple teeny. Kind of like a little, I guess, liquor joke there. Apple teeny. There you go. Martini, apple teeny. All right, that's it. We're moving on. How many days until the before 8 p.m. sunsets? We've been doing the countdown every day. 6 days. Autumn begins in 25. The days are rolling by fast. Average highs in the 70s in 27 days, less than a month. And average highs in the 60s in 52 days on October the 19th. In today's weather history, this is a crazy one. 1937, a devastating cyclone hit Hong Kong, killing 11,000 people. So you can see the difference here before weather technology and after. It does save thousands of lives. In 1990, Plainfield, Illinois was struck, that's just outside of Chicago, by an EF5 tornado, destroying several businesses in the Plainfield High School, an apartment complex. 8 people killed there. And that apartment complex, but a total of 29 fatalities. And then 2005, Hurricane Katrina attained Category 5 status. We all remember that, and reached its peak strength in maximum sustained winds of 173 miles per hour. And I remember I was working in Augusta, Georgia at that time, awaiting Hurricane Katrina down there in Louisiana. Allergy report today is high. It is ragweed. I feel like I'm feeling it a little bit. I mowed the yard. I mowed the weeds a bit yesterday. I need to do the fertilizer, but it's floating around out there. UV index around 7 or 8. If you get a little more cloud cover, it's going to be a bit lower. And then the forecast summary for today, 81 degrees. Terrific Thursday here for us. Mostly sunny sky. And again, we might see a few more clouds over Indiana, where we have that little disturbance moving through, where there is a slight chance of a brief shower, maybe up around North Vernon or Madison. Northwest wind around 5 to 10, and our sunset at 8:18. And for tonight, nice and cool. A few clouds passing through, low 60 degrees. So not quite as cool as it's been, but still, I think crack open the windows and let that AC get a break. Tomorrow, I put tiny shower chance tomorrow afternoon as this front moves through, mainly dry across the area. Like less than 5% chance of a shower tomorrow. 82 degrees, that high temperature. What that front is going to do just is reinforce the awesome autumn-like air for much of this weekend. Very low humidity, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Our average high is 87, so about 5 degrees below normal tomorrow. And 7:10 sun up, sunset at 8:16. And it just means good football weather for our Friday night. And also, I believe Racing Louisville has their match at Lynn Family Stadium versus the Houston Dash tomorrow evening at 7:30. Both are going to be great. Pre-game 81, 7 p.m. kickoff around 76, halftime 73, and then some 60s post-game. Loving it. The Bats are at home all this weekend versus the Columbus Clippers. No weather worries if you want to check out some baseball out at Slugger Field. Here's the 7-day forecast. Again, very, very isolated chance tomorrow. Most areas stay dry. Lows will be in the 50s all weekend. Great camping weather. but maybe the water temperature getting a little bit cool by the lakes and the pools this weekend. That might be kind of a little bit of a downside. 79 Saturday, right around 80 Sunday, 82 for Labor Day Monday. Looks great out there. We've got a good morning popping in here from Mike Perkins. Good morning, sir. Thanks for tuning in here. Long time no see, except here on Facebook. Tuesday, a 30% chance of a shower, maybe a little more humidity. You can see the humidity goes up a touch with slightly warmer nighttime temperatures by the middle of next week. So starting to increase the humidity a little bit. And then notice here, Wednesday, 70s as we have a rain chance. So right now, like the European weather model kind of switched and has the front move through Wednesday. No, I'll take it back. It did flip-flop. It was sooner yesterday. Now it's a little bit later. So the GFS has the front moving through like Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we're much cooler, maybe like low mid 70s Thursday. And the European weather model is like a day later, like Thursday. So there is still some discrepancies there. We're still going to fine-tune that forecast. The moral of the story, as we'll see here as we go into the longer range data, is that the rain chances increase by the middle of next week. We will need that rain chance as this has been a very dry last half of August here, but it's been very nice as well. So it is now coming up to 10:20. That means it's time to start to dig into that weather model data. So let me go ahead and bring that up here for us. Let me take that out, bring this up, and so this is a look at the dew point map. You get more tropical down in Louisiana and into Texas, but very, very nice conditions. Actually gets a little bit more humid ahead of a front up in the upper Midwest as well, where you see dew points in the 60s. We still have this nice dry wedge of air over us with these dew points in the 50s all across the area. So again, just reinforcing that we have some great weather across the area. Now, as we bring up the Climate Prediction Center, this is kind of a pretty big weather story for us after just a really hot July. And a little bit hot for the first part of August as well. But this shows us that we have, from the Climate Prediction Center, with their 6 to 10 day outlook, high confidence of a long range below normal weather pattern. We might get a couple days mixed in there where we get into the 80s, but notice here from the Climate Prediction Center, they're looking at below normal temperatures. So that means we may see some 70s back in that forecast. So like late next week, and we'll have a little upper 70s for Saturday as well. But pretty nice there. I mean, that just means really comfortable as we start to head into September. Bringing up the 8 to 14 day outlook. So this would go a couple weeks out, and it also shows an above average chance of below normal temperatures over much of the mid and eastern portions of the United States. So that is a fairly big weather story here for us, and a nice one as well. If you're curious about the tropics, there is not a whole lot going on. There's this tropical storm out here as Fernand, and it is way out in the North Atlantic. No other invests or low pressure systems that we're watching in the Atlantic, and then some activity out here in the Pacific. Juliet, they're way off the coast of Baja, California. So that is the tropical update right there. Let me go ahead and bring up our future radar. Again, super teeny tiny chance of a shower today, mainly to the northwest. I'm going to bring up the HRRR high resolution rapid refresh weather model. So starting off now, it does show some of that rain to the northeast. As we click this forward in time, I'm going to go here to like 1 o'clock. Notice that it has most of that rain moving off to our northeast. And it really doesn't even give a rain chance even to Madison. But that's just one weather model. This is at 5 o'clock. Notice it's trying to sneak in maybe a little sprinkle up that way. Better chance up towards Cincinnati, down Interstate 74 there between Cincinnati and Indianapolis. Let me bring up another weather model here. And we will go into tomorrow afternoon. So we're going to have that front move through tomorrow. And we might see like a little blip of green pop up here, indicating there's a very small chance of maybe like a sprinkle at some point as this front moves through Friday, but we're just not going to see much printing out on our future radar maps here. Yeah, this is at 3 o'clock tomorrow. 4 o'clock. All right, so I mean, if you can see what I'm talking about, I mean, you got to look real close to find anything. So maybe a sprinkle in a couple spots tomorrow, but there's not going to be much happening with this weak and mainly dry front. Now, this is the NAM 3 kilometer, another high resolution weather model. I'm going to click this back to today, just kind of compare and contrast. It's picking up a little bit of that rain to the northeast. Taking this into the afternoon here, it just shows a little bit of a blip there. So trying to produce a sprinkle, maybe out of a couple clouds, mostly to the northeast later today. I don't know if you can see that on whatever screen you're watching on, but there you can see how small that chance is. Just a couple little blips showing up. And it's fighting some dry air at the surface too. You might see Virga. I'm not sure if you guys know what that is, but Virga is, if you look up at the clouds will produce some precipitation. Sometimes it'll look kind of blue or purple, and then it fades away. That's rain evaporating before it hits the ground. And sometimes the radar beam goes up at an angle and can hit some of that rain, so it looks like it's raining on the radar. But as that gets closer, it starts to go away as the radar beam is lower to the ground, and so then there will be no rain. So sometimes you can pick up the Virga on the radar at farther out distances, but as it gets closer, that rain evaporates as it hits the ground. So might see some Virga out there, which is very pretty underneath the clouds and mixed with sunshine. So Virga is Virga. Lillian Lasley, Grayson County Fair begins Tuesday. Yeah, this is your weather show throughout the region, so feel free to drop in whatever might be happening in your area. Sellersburg had Sellersburg Celebrates last weekend, and this weekend they've got some kind of like craft fair, I believe. But again, feel free to drop in the comments. Let us know what's happening in your neck of the woods. All right, we're back to the weather models. So again, moral of the story here is that there is very little. Don't bet on the rain happening at your house, because this is a very small, like less than 5% chance today, mainly to the northeast, and then tomorrow over the area as this dry front moves through. So now I'm going to tomorrow afternoon with the NAM 3 kilometer weather model. This is at 1 p.m. Go to 2 o'clock. Just very little to even try to look at. This has got, there you can see what I mean. So this is near Elizabethtown tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. Perhaps a cloud can be eager enough and big enough to produce an isolated shower. So this weather model shows the best chance of perhaps a sprinkle or shower, mainly along and south of the Bluegrass and Western Kentucky parkways. There you can see that best chance along the front tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to bring up the dew points again. So behind this front, it's going to be dropping the dew points for the weekend. Dew points, a measure of water content in the air. Lower the dew point, the better it's going to feel. So look at this dry air dropping in. Even showing some 30s dew points. Like really just looking forward to sitting outside, chilling. I might actually do some camping in the cabin Saturday night with that kind of air on the way. It is kind of rare air this time of the year. It's up in Canada, and we're getting a nice little taste of it. But there you go. That is your Saturday air, which is looking phenomenal. This is 2 p.m. Saturday with the dew points very low across the area. This is look at 2 p.m. temperatures on Saturday. Lots of 70s, looking good, phenomenal across the area. Again, just really good stuff. I don't think I have enough adjectives to describe how nice it's going to be this weekend. Okay, so that is the future radar. Now we're going to go look long range with the GFS weather model. So that means it is time for the Ben on a Limb segment. So we're going to break out the big old GFS American weather model. I want to bring up first the precipitation because we're going to need this rainfall next week. I'm going to jump ahead to the 1st of September, our Labor Day, and it shows dry conditions across the area. So it looks like we're dry Monday, lower 80s likely. I'm going to jump ahead to September 2nd. This is Tuesday, next Tuesday. So this is the difference. The Euro is still mostly dry, but notice that it brings a good rain chance and upper level system through the area Tuesday. The GFS is kind of the outlier right now. It does look drier on the European weather model and the Canadian weather model next Tuesday. But if the GFS were correct, there you can see ramping up those rain chances Tuesday. I think the rain chances will probably ramp up more Wednesday, Thursday, if I were to guess this far out. That's Tuesday night. But again, we will need that rain. We need it now by that time. This is going into Wednesday. You can see some rain still across the area with this kind of slow-moving system moving through the Ohio Valley and Kentuckiana. That is Wednesday afternoon. So this shows good rain chance Tuesday, Wednesday with the GFS weather model. The only difference is if you're looking at the Euro, the Canadian, just shift that to like Wednesday, Thursday. As it ramps up the rain chances like a day later. But what's significant behind this front, so this is next Thursday, looking dry, perhaps. Again, the Euro has some rain Thursday. But they both do show dropping temperatures, dropping dew points, dry air. I mean, look at that. That's incredible. That is Canada. Canadian air dropping down right behind that front. This would be probably a more significant shot than what we've seen lately of the autumn-like air across the region. So you've got dry air, no doubt about that. This is showing dew points in the 30s. This is something we probably haven't felt since maybe like early on May months. So next level cool down potential late next week. Here's a look at the temperatures. Look at that spilling down from the north. Some rather cool air. So this is at 5 p.m. September 4th. That's Thursday. If this were true, of course, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I don't think it's going to get that cool. Sometimes the GFS will overdo it, but that's showing 60s Thursday afternoon. I'd have to look back and see how long ago we had highs in the 60s. Are we going to see that? Big question marks there. We're going to, but this is something fun that we'll be watching with the long range outlook for late next week. Can we see a cool down that big? Big question marks there. I'm going to go into the 5th. So this will be next Friday afternoon. And it is also showing some rather cool temperatures across the region. So you might ask, where's the heat? That's building out west of us. That's where late next week over the Great Plains, where the heat might be building up, where summertime is. So there you go. As I promised here, right in the beginning of the show, there's plenty to talk about as always throughout the areas. We're coming up to 10:32. So then September 6th, that's Saturday. We're going to be going to an IU football game. And I'm hoping it will be dry out there. And it's showing 70s. I will take that if that can happen. All right. Trying to click them on there. So there you go. Boom. Reinforcing shot of Canadian air possible late next week. And the European weather model is on board for a cool down late next week as well. So it might be a next step of fall-like air. So we've been kind of like late September, early October, early fall here now. This perhaps, again, if this happens, next weekend might feel more like late October, like average highs down to 60s by October 19th. But, last couple of weeks been a big shift in what was just a very, very muggy weather pattern. So it looks like we're kind of locking into more fall-like conditions across the area. And Vicky Berger popping in from Salem, Indiana. Good morning. It's beautiful weather, but can't handle too cool. Not enough rain, and the corn and beans don't fill out. Yeah, we need to get some next week, and hopefully that'll plump them up. Hopefully. Mary Smallwood, good morning to you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for dropping in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from as well. So that is the long-range forecast. That has been the good old Ben on a Limb segment. So we will get back to the forecast. For those of you popping on a little bit later, we're going to dig deep into the forecast here for you and all the weather graphics here in just 1 second. I just wanted to take a peek. Let's go. I mean, this is probably not going to happen, but this is like September the 12th.